The fall of 2020 will probably go down in Pokemon history as like the craziest time to be a Pokemon card enthusiast, a collector, a competitive player, whatever you want to call it. It was nuts. There was a lot that was going on in the world, obviously with the pandemic and people staying home all the time and people working from home, and a lot of people were kind of using Pokemon as an outlet, an escape. They were going downstairs, uncovering their old collection, kind of getting into the game, and then you had these giant influencers that were starting to pay attention to Pokemon and start talking about Pokemon. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Pokemon blew up. It was absolutely crazy. And it was a nuts time for a lot of cards. We saw a lot of spikes when it came to a lot of products that were kind of out of date, out of print, and a lot of products that were viewed as investment opportunities or collector opportunities that weren't necessarily at risk of getting reprinted skyrocketed. It was crazy. And a lot of people were getting really upset. They couldn't find Pokemon cards in stores because a lot of people, resellers kind of came into the market and started finding cards and flipping cards, and it was nuts. And it kind of carried on then for quite some time to the point where we're still recovering a little bit. Today, I want to talk to you guys about Hidden Fates. This is part 2. We talked about Hidden Fates from a sealed product standpoint, from a sealed market last week. If you haven't watched that, definitely go back and watch that. I posted that on Friday. It's a really good video. Wait until this one's over. It's also important to watch that one because that video you need to comment on, like, and make sure you're subscribed, and then you'll be entered to win an Evolving Skies booster box, since we're giving away an Evolving Skies booster box every single week until a reprint comes. It's the Danny Phantump reprint. But Hidden Fates has been nothing but a roller coaster, because even though it was a set that was out of print, Pokemon decided, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to reprint this. And we're going to reprint a lot of this. We saw huge reprints of tins kind of in the late summer of 2020. And then out of nowhere in winter of 2020, beginning of 2021, we saw Elite Trainer boxes get reprinted like crazy. So I've been doing a lot of studying and a lot of forecasting and trying to understand the market when it comes to specialty sets. I do a lot of kind of focusing on more modern sets. I don't really focus a ton on specialty sets, so my knowledge base as far as the market goes hasn't been as well fine-tuned as what we see in a lot of the main series modern sets. So I'm going to go ahead and flip you around so you can look at what I'm looking at. And before we look at the singles market, which is just all over the place, just really up and down, somebody made a comment on the Hidden Fates video last week and talked about Hidden Fates singles staying somewhat at a high level because a lot of those reprints, a lot of those reprint ETBs were bought up by investors or by people who wanted to flip the product, and they aren't being opened, a lot of sealed collectors. And I think to an extent, there is a lot of truth behind that. I do think Hidden Fates is a ton of fun to open. I do think a lot of people do open the set, and I think it's a lot of multiple master sets that a lot of people are completing. I've seen a lot of people with 3-4 master sets of Hidden Fates just because they love the set so much. It was the introduction of full art shinies, it was the introduction of baby shinies, it had a tribute to a lot of the evolutions, a lot of the OG base cards, and obviously the shiny Charizard, which is a drive for a lot of people. Part of the reason that it's seen so much more success than a set like Shining Fates, although Shining Fates has obviously been printed to the absolute ground. We're going to look, first of all, before we jump into the singles market, at some of these specialty sets that are kind of from the modern era to get a better understanding of where we might expect to see Hidden Fates go. And there's a lot of really interesting details behind just these small amounts of numbers right here. So we're going to start out with Generations, which came out in February of 2016. All of these specialty sets come with 10 booster packs, and they come with a promo card. They are $50 as opposed to the normal main series ETBs, which are $40. So you get 2 extra packs. They're more of an homage to, the holiday season or whatever time they're being released. They're an homage to something related to Pokemon. That's why they're special sets. So Generations, which was the 20th anniversary set. This set was printed quite a bit, and we had quite a bit of these Elite Trainer boxes that kind of stayed on the market, stayed on the shelves for about a year and a half until after Black Friday of 2017, when they kind of started doing some specials on them. You could find them for $40 or less in a lot of different areas. MSRP for these products are $50, but the current price to buy a Generations Elite Trainer box is about $650. $667 was what I saw on TCG Player. You could probably find it for a little bit cheaper if you look harder, but that's a 1,234% price increase from its original MSRP date. But when we talk about October of 2020, when things really started going nuts, and this set had been out now for 4.5 years, we saw this price. You could buy it for $180. So that is about, what, 350% of an increase. So if you look at where it was just 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, at $180, now you're looking at $667. That is an insane amount of increase when it comes to generations. And part of that is because there wasn't a reprint. There was no more of these available, and it was a lot harder to find these. Back in 2016, a lot of people weren't thinking about keeping sealed products for the future. They weren't talking about buying cases of a product and keeping that sealed. They were opening up. They were enjoying the artwork. They were enjoying the cards. When you were looking at collectors, a lot of them were kind of opening up the products, getting the singles graded, and just kind of enjoying that aspect of the game. They weren't thinking long term, I'm going to keep things for 25 years, 30 years, I'm going to keep this sealed. When we look at Shining Legends, this was also a very highly printed set that came out in 2017 with an MSRP of $50. You can find it for $290 currently. That was the lowest price I could find on TCG Player. That's a 480% increase. So still quite a bit of an increase. But Shining Legends, they were in big box stores for so long. You could find them on the shelves at Walmart in 2020 in the clearance aisle because they just weren't selling as well because there were so many of them. However, it did increase quite a bit because people really started entering the space, and that just goes to show you the kind of impact demand has on these products because they started having limited supply. Now, we are at a point in Pokemon where we don't have that kind of demand anymore. So that is why October 2020 is kind of a point in history where I don't know if we're ever going to get back to that point. So investing all this money in Celebrations Elite Trainer boxes, yeah, I do think that they're going to go up over time, but I don't think you're going to be looking at 1,234% increase over the span of a year and a half, or an additional 350% increase over the span of a year and a half, like what we saw with Generations. So Shining Legends, $290. You could buy it in October of 2020 for about $150. If we look at Dragon Majesty, which came out in 2018, $50 MSRP, $347 is the current price point for it. That's a 594% increase. In October of 2020, you could find it for $120. That's about 240% of an increase. Hidden Fates, and this is the one that we're going to talk about from a single aspect. This is the one that got reprinted big time. So it goes to show you in 2019, when this set originally came out, a year and a half after release, we're talking about this rotating out soon. We're talking about this leaving the market soon. They still reprinted it, and they reprinted a ton of it. So if you look at the Elite Trainer box level, $50 MSRP, $168 is the current price point, which is basically the same as where it was in October of 2020, and that was actually down a little bit because the reprint had already been announced. Hidden Fates Elite Trainer boxes were selling for quite a bit more than that originally. A couple months prior to that, they were selling for well over $200. The percent changed 236% from where it is now to where you might have bought it at MSRP. And then I do have Champion's Path in here just because it seems like it's going to be an out of print set that came out in 2020. So right around the time when we're talking about this big market boom, $50 MSRP. Current price point for that is about $113. The percent change is 126. I didn't put an October 2020 price because you could find it for MSRP. There were reprints that came. There was a third wave that came in December, right around the same time that Hidden Fates Elite Trainer box came out. But I wanted to show this data so you could kind of get a better understanding of what demand did to the market. And that's why you haven't seen a giant increase from a lot of these products over the past, half year or year, because a lot of people have kind of exited the space. A lot of people have kind of sold off their product, and a lot of people are kind of holding on to these that maybe have overpaid a little bit. But if we look at the giant price increase from just October of 2020 to now, that is a substantial margin when you're considering the fact it took 4.5 years for Generations just to go from $50 up to $180, which is still obviously really good returns. But even in October 2020, you started really starting to see some movement. So we're going to jump over to sheet 1 here, and we're going to look at the single market. And I wanted to focus on a couple of key points when it comes to the Elite Trainer box and the booster packs, and then we'll kind of go into this roller coaster of up and downs that we see from some of these singles. So the Hidden Fates Elite Trainer box, like I said, got reprinted in January of 2021, December of 2020, however you want to look at it. The low point over the past 3 months is 153.70. It actually just hit that recently. We found that in the middle of March of 2022. Its high point of 167.40. It hit a little bit before that, kind of in the middle of February. That obviously dove back down, and now it's starting to climb back up, right? It's at 164, 163.99. $199. One thing that I wanted to put note of is that these Elite Trainer boxes, there is 59 that are currently available on TCG Player for $199.95. Now, I do think there's going to be a lot of these that are probably sold outside of TCG Player, because I do believe that person who made that comment was very, very spot on to some regard, that a lot of people are kind of selling these now because it didn't increase the way that they wanted to. They might want to put their money in a different space, whatever the case may be. You might see a lot kind of pop up on eBay or on Facebook or on some other outlets, maybe Mercari, that are quite a bit cheaper than this $167 price tag. If we look at Hidden Fates booster packs, the low point, $14.99, was actually hit back in January, and then it started climbing up quite a bit to its high point of $16.76. Then we saw a dip in March again. I don't know what exactly happened in March that caused Hidden Fates to kind of drop off a little bit, but now it's started to rise quite a bit again. So now it's back to its 3-month high at $16.76. But there are no packs that are available on TCG Player right now that are below $17.95. So the cheapest pack you can buy on TCG Player right now is $17.95. So this market price, this $16.76, over the next week or so may climb closer to that $18 market, because there's just none available for cheaper than that. If we look at the shiny Charizard, so the chase card of just about everybody, you are looking at $346.17 as its low point, which it hit back in January, kind of the end of January. And if you look, its high point of $416.47 is where it was sitting at the end of December, and then it just completely tanked. And a lot of that comes to a lot of people exiting the space. There was a ton of exodus late in 2021. People were over bombarded with product. We just saw Leonhardt kind of shoot a video, and Mason from Cardinal Gaming did an awesome job going over what happened in that video. This guy who may have owned a storage unit that kind of invested more than he could handle, and a lot of people who kind of bought products at retail with the idea of kind of flipping them secondhand lost a ton of money, and we can kind of see that in what Leonhardt was talking about in that video. It was very, very interesting, but because of that, a lot of these price points, a lot of these people who were kind of entering the market left, and now this card is starting to rise a little bit back up. It's sitting at $391.91 as its current market space, but you can see just a nice upward trajectory there. If we look at Umbreon was actually an interesting card because it was not the second most expensive card in the set at one point in time. It had dropped to third, but if we look over the past 3 months, it's done nothing but rise. It saw a little bit of a dip kind of in the middle of February there. You saw it jump down to $79.18. Not a ton of difference here, $83.80. So you're only looking at about a 5-ish% increase. It's up to $83.80 right now, but it's at a 3-month high, and you can see it's really starting to climb in that upward direction. If we look at Cynthia, definitely a very, very cool full art trainer, full art shiny trainer from the set. $68.94 is its high point, which it actually hit just about a week ago. It's currently sitting at $68.87, but that's about 10%, a little bit more than 10% up from where it was 3 months ago when it was at its low of $62.57. Sylveon, 66.37 was its high point, which it hit in the middle of February. Its low point of 62.69, it actually hit a couple weeks prior to that at the end of January, and now it's kind of leveled off a little bit where it's sitting at 65.77, very close to that 3-month high, but you can see not real substantial peaks or valleys currently with Sylveon. If we look at the Mewtwo GX, it really started climbing, and now it's fallen off a little bit. So that's what I'm talking about with this roller coaster of these singles. But I think with what that person said, like I said, some of that comment, there's a lot that boils into that comment, but a lot of it is accurate because a lot of people who crack these open now, they may sell singles, they may sell raw singles, they may sell graded singles, which is obviously going to impact the market. And then more of these that kind of get dispersed into the market, the more the singles are going to be impacted by it, but you're going to see slow, steady impacts instead of these huge dynamic impacts. So 48.24 was its low point, which it hit kind of at the end of January and then at the beginning of February. Then it rose up to this 55.86. So it climbed almost 20%, almost climbed up to that 55.86 mark, which it hit at the beginning of March, and now it's dropped back down a little bit where it's sitting at 52.40. Espeon GX has done nothing but go down. Same thing with Leafeon GX, really heading in the wrong direction. Their high points of 71.26 and 47.25 respectively, I say that wrong all the time, respectively, was hit at the beginning of January and December, and now they've done nothing but go down, where they're at 3-month lows right now. So Espeon GX sitting at 51.22 as a 3-month low, and Leafeon GX sitting at 37.21 as a 3-month low. Then we get to this row that just always gets messed up when I convert things over to a Google Sheet. We've got Greninja GX first that we'll look at. That's got a high point of 28.85. Again, it hit that point at the beginning of December, or at the end of December, beginning of January. Then it shot way down to its 3-month low, which is 25.02, and now it's started to climb back up a little bit. So you're looking at 10 to 15% differences here in price point, but now it's sitting at 27.93. So slowly starting to creep back up to that 3-month high. If we look at Gardevoir GX, 27.03 was its high point, which it actually hit in the middle of March, and then kind of went back down a little bit, but its 3-month low of $25.18 was hit back in January, kind of a little different than what we saw from all these other ones, which had their high point back in January. This card has started to climb a little bit in that upward trajectory, had a little bit of a dip in the middle of March, and now it's starting to climb back up. Next, we have Scizor GX. Scizor GX has a high point of 27.81, which it hit in the middle of February. You can't really see because my mug is in the way, but it hit in the middle of February and then dipped down where its 3 months low. It actually hit recently, not too long ago, 25.66, sitting at 25.81 currently, so just ahead of its 3 months low, but not much of a difference there in price. You're only looking at 5-7%, somewhere around there. Then we've got Darkrai GX, 23.68 as its 3 months low, which it hit in the middle of February, beginning of February, and then it kind of shot back up. So really a roller coaster there. 25.57 is high point. Again, you're only looking at about a 10% difference. If we look at Tapu Lele GX, the secret rare, $25.20 was its high point, which it hit back at the end of December, and it's done nothing but go down, where it's sitting at 23.46 as its low point, which it actually hit a couple weeks ago. Now it's sitting at 23.51. And then we've got Tapu Fini GX, 30.23 was its high point, so actually higher than the Tapu Lele GX, which is very interesting to me. But it hit that at the end of December, and then it did nothing but really just tanked down to 21.63, which is basically where it's sitting right now at 21.82. It's been very, very consistent, very even Steven over the last 3 months. Again, just products slowly being opened, really impacting the market, where you're not going to see these drastic changes. Lucario GX, 23.74 as its high point, which it hit at the end of February. Its low point of $20.90. It actually hit twice, both at the beginning of January and then at the end of March, and now it's climbed up a little bit, 21.23. Then we've got the first Baby Shiny, and this is very interesting because there was a Charmander and Charmeleon Baby Shiny that were quite a bit higher. Those have gone down a little bit in value, so now you've only got the Eevee that's kind of sitting right around that $20 mark. 22.33 is its high point, which it hit a few weeks ago in the middle of March, and now you're looking at 18.50 as its low point, which it hit back in the beginning of January. Now it's sitting in between the two at 19.80. Finally, we're going to look at Glaceon GX, 22.15, 18.23, so 22.15, much like the other cards that we've looked at already, kind of hit that at the end of December, beginning of January, tanked way down to 18.23, and now it's climbed back up a little bit, sitting at 19.49. I do think, a lot of people ask me what my opinion is on Hidden Fates. I love Hidden Fates. I think Hidden Fates is the best set that has ever been printed. I think the homage that it pays to the evolutions and a lot of these real popular cards is very, very popular. I love the baby shinies in the set, but I do think that you are not looking at these short-term stonks or these huge things that a lot of people are looking for that kind of came into the space from, you know, NFTs or cryptos or whatever you want to call it. I think you are looking at very slow and steady gains over time, like what you would see from a lot of Pokemon sets. And something about Hidden Fates is it's a lot of fun to open. The artwork is really great. It's a lot to appreciate. So it is fun to spend that little bit of extra money to open this set because it does have great pull rates. But at the same time, I also do understand that these price points are a little bit expensive. I don't necessarily think we're going to go a ton lower with a lot of these cards, but I also don't necessarily think that we're going to go a ton higher with these cards over the next several months. I think that it's going to be a very slow rise over time. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below what you think. I love this set. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's been my favorite set to open of all time. I absolutely cannot get enough of it, and I understand that it is kind of priced out, but I think that if we look at the booster pack pricing and we start comparing it to where where we've seen some of these other sets go, as long as we don't have another meteoric rise of Pokemon where things go absolutely nuts, because I don't believe we're going to get more reprints of Hidden Fates. I think that we're going to see these prices remain somewhat stable for the next several months, or maybe it's something that you want to take advantage of if you want to slowly build up your Hidden Fates Master Set collection, something like that. But I do think that over time, you are going to start seeing Hidden Fates kind of climb up. You might see some of these other sets climb down a little bit or stay put, and Hidden Fates over time, I think, is going to leapfrog Dragon Majesty, Shining Legends. Probably won't get to the point of where Generations is, because that set did get released so much more in advance, and it did have such more limited availability when that demand hit. But I do think as Hidden Fates starts getting open more over time, I think that's kind of a set where a lot of people are like, hey, I want to open Hidden Fates because it's not too terrible per pack price, and a lot of people are going to kind of focus on that. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. This was part 2 of our Hidden Fates market review. We're going to take a break from Hidden Fates and go into some other things. I want to revisit Celebrations and talk about that a little bit, and then I've got a really fun video for you guys planned on Friday where we talk about losing money in Pokemon, which I think you guys will really enjoy. Thank you so much for all of your attention. I appreciate you guys hanging with me as I ramble for so long. If you could, leave a like and a comment down below, because it does go a long way for the algorithm. Most importantly, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Go back, watch the video that we posted on Sunday, because you could win an Ultra Premium collection. Go back, watch the video we posted on Friday, because you could win a Evolving Skies booster box. We keep giving stuff away because we keep growing, and the more we grow, we're going to keep giving stuff away. So I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for everything. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.